The Cold War, espionage, international conspiracies and advancing technology are the types of things you'd expect to find in a spy thriller.
A new book with the same themes instead explores the unexpected life of a video game creator and how it became popular culture, actually a phenomenon in popular culture. And we sent our resident video game expert, Vlad Duthiers, to find this story.
At Barcade in New York City, you can play what's been called the most addictive game in the world. You might recognize it just by listening. But for many, the puzzle pieces are sure to spark a memory. CNET section editor Dan Ackerman wrote The Tetris Effect, the game that hypnotized the world.
When we're talking about the Tetris effect, it's actually a medical condition, and you may have seen this when you play Tetris or Bejeweled or anything else where you're kind of doing this repetitive geometrical activity, and you close your eyes or you look at a wall and you still see the shapes. It's a sort of waking dream. It's this hypnagogic imagery, and that's what people talk about when they say the Tetris effect, or if you're bagging groceries or loading your car with a vacation and you see things like the Tetris pieces and you move them into place, that's another version of it.
The designer of the game, Alexei Pajitnov, was a researcher and programmer for the Russian Academy of Sciences. He originally sought to have some fun on his computer by fiddling around with code to recreate a board game for kids called Pentaminos.
He figured out a way to take these four-piece puzzle shapes and have them fall down a screen, line them up. It took a lot of experimentation to get a version that was actually fun, but his machine was so primitive, even these blocky graphics here, you couldn't do that. He didn't have any graphics. It was black and white. It was basically brackets on the computer keyboard, just put together to form the block. It became basically a viral hit, one of the earliest technology viral hits, and back then there's no consumer internet to speak of, especially not in Russia, and somehow it made its way through the couple of cities in Russia where people had computers into other Eastern Bloc countries, including Hungary. When the game got to Hungary, Western software distributors saw it at a college, saw kids playing it and said, ooh, this looks pretty interesting. Maybe I can try to import this to the West and start selling it. The Russian music, the backwards R in the title, all this Russian architecture and different versions of the box and in the background. So that was all added by these Western software publishers who basically had this very basic looking game and wanted to sell it to people as something that was exotic from behind the Iron Curtain. It's sort of dangerous. Oh, man.
Ackerman's book follows not just Alexei Pajitnov's journey with Tetris, but the journey of businessman Hank Rogers.
He was from the Netherlands, grew up in New York, went to college in Hawaii, eventually went to Japan, where he started creating games and then importing software. And he would go around the world and find games that he thought would work well in the Japanese software market. He eventually discovered Tetris and formed a lifelong friendship with Alexei Pajitnov. And the two of them, basically worked together since the late 80s in various ways. So I found this really great story about these two guys who are both computer programmers, both very international, cross-cultural guys, who formed this bond that continues to this day.
So who owns Tetris now?
Tetris is now owned by the Tetris company, and the partners in that are Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov, which is a great sort of coda to the story where you went through all these years of different people trading the rights back and forth and trying to freeze the original creator out, and then he eventually was able to reassert his share of the rights.
Just fascinating to hear the origins of a game we've all played, and to think it almost didn't make it out.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. Did you know that it was fascinating to learn that the music was actually from a Russian song, the infamous Tetris music?
Right,
came
that
from
we all know and love.
Yeah,
all
pretty
right.
interesting.